So the question on everybody's mind right now, Xbox, Todd, wait, I need the candle. I need the candle before we pray. The question on everybody's mind, Todd, where is New Vegas Remastered? What are we doing? Everybody wants it. Everyone will throw money at you. Give it to us. Praise be. Yes, Todd smells like spiced pumpkin. Yes, he does. He smells delicious. Delicious. But that's the question everybody's wondering. And they're wondering it because it makes so much sense. You know, it's going to print money. It will print money if they can just put out a New Vegas remake, remaster. People have said sequel. I'm not sure a sequel, honestly, is that good of an idea. For one, because you got to remember, New Vegas is a fascinating story in the games industry because it really should not have worked. It was a game thrown together in 18 months by a studio that was in financial straits at the time. They threw it together. It still is a broken, buggy mess, but even at launch it was as well. Didn't review amazingly. It got like an 83 or 84 on Metacritic at the time. So it was like a B-. It was 1 point below the threshold for them to bonus. So Bethesda Softworks didn't have to pay them a bonus for New Vegas because they were 1 point short of it, which is tragic and kind of funny, but that's just how it works. And it also was a game that had tons of its original ideas cut because they just couldn't do it. The original artwork for Fallout New Vegas is fascinating because this is like some of the original artwork and concept art where you can see New Vegas was supposed to be this sprawling metropolis and everything. But what ended up happening was, of course, that they had to trim it down because they didn't have time and they didn't have the resources to do it justice the way that they wanted. So what they ended up doing was creating basically these like multiple districts where there's a wall here and then there's a loading screen here and then there's a loading screen back here. All of this is gone. We'll just cut all of that. And so you basically have 3 districts that are all really tiny, and that is the extent of the strip. But it worked for the game that it was, and the writing was so good and the world building was so good and clever and interesting that it became a cult classic. But if you're gonna make a sequel, I think you have to realize this vision. And I'm gonna just be real. I don't think any studio that Xbox has is currently capable of delivering on that vision to the extent that people would love to see. I don't think BGS would do it justice. I don't think Obsidian would do it justice, because you gotta remember, Obsidian is making now games like Outer Worlds and Avowed. That's the kind of game you would get if they were to make a New Vegas 2. So, not to say they're bad, but it's just not going to be what I think you have in your head, you know? So I don't think they have a team that could do it. A team that could do it and pop it off, you know, I would love to see like a Larian Fallout game. I would love to see a CDPR Fallout game. All of those would be amazing, but those will literally never happen. Larian doesn't want to do licensed stuff anymore. They don't need to. They'll do their own IP. And CDPR has their hands full and also doesn't need to give up 20-30% of every copy sold. They can just do their own stuff. They got their hands full with Witcher, Lord knows. So I love the idea of New Vegas 2 in concept, but I think in like once you get past that initial step and you start thinking about the execution, it's just not practical, and I don't think it would actually work out the way that people would hope that they would. But a remake, remaster, that's a slam dunk. You can fix the technical problems that have plagued the game since launch. You can add way more graphics options. You can make the game run more stable. You can add quality of life improvements such as the Fallout inventory menu when you loot stuff. It's the one mod I heavily recommend. If you're going to play New Vegas, install that mod. It's the Fallout 4 loot mod or whatever they call it on Nexus. And it makes it so when you look at a box, you can loot it from there without having to open up a dedicated menu like you did in Fallout 3. Life-changing. Will save you so much time. You will thank me. So they could add all sorts of little quality of life improvements like that, AI improvements, combat improvements, shooting improvements, like all that stuff. But then they keep the soul of it by just remaking everything else. I think that's my ideal, is to remaster / remake. I think a sequel probably would not turn out the way that most of us would want it to. That being said, MrMattyPlays, our resident Fallout expert, aficionado, dude, he's even got the hoodie. Do I need to even bring up his credentials? He has a hoodie. I do kind of wish I had ordered a Fallout 76 hoodie, honestly. Like back in the day, you remember the ones in the Internet Historian video that look like garbage bags? I kind of wish I had had one. Well, you live and you learn. I could have gotten a canvas bag, dude. Oh, too bad. I do have Todd's actual jacket. I do. Should I get that? Should I get that for this? We probably should. I think it's just in the closet around the corner. Hold on. I get it. Hold down the house, Maddie. Hold on. Okay, no. So the the Todd Howard jacket is apparently upstairs in my actual closet by the front door because it's very nice. It's just a nice leather jacket. But this was in the closet down here. This is, oh, it's already hot. This is the Starfield jacket that they sent me. It's huge, dude. It's huge, right? Okay, Molly. Yeah, not great. Dude, it's already so hot. Quick, hurry, Maddie. Tell me about New Vegas Remaster. Tell me before I overheat.
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and I was cleaning out my closet a few weeks ago, and I found this oldie but goodie. I remember unboxing this on the channel, what I believe was a Fallout Loot Crate video, but when I found—
Oh my God, young Maddie. Dude, it sounds weird to say grew up watching Maddie, because I don't think he's that much older than me. But I remember watching his like Fallout 4 hype videos back in like 2013, 14, like old school Maddie videos when he was still like, I'm assuming in his like childhood bedroom and stuff. I watched old school Maddie. I thought it was so cool.
Found it. I was so excited. I went, well,
I still think he's really cool, to be clear.
This was like 2015. Certainly this doesn't fit me, but when I put it on, it was a good loose fit. It was just like old times. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about Fallout New Vegas. I've been going through my comments, been going through my Twitter mentions, and I've been getting one question very often, or one statement.
What is
now's got to be the time that we get a New Vegas remaster, or I'm not replaying New Vegas now for Season 2. I'm waiting for that remake. And so, in natural Mr. Matty fashion, we're going to get into the granular detail, starting with Fallout Season 1, working our way through the timeline of what I think Bethesda is planning for Season 2. And the too long didn't read is that if we do get a Fallout New Vegas remaster or a remake, whatever it may be, I think it's 2029 the earliest. And to get a little bit deeper than that,
2029, dude. That'll put it, what, just under 20 years after New Vegas, because it came out, what, 2010? 2010? Woof. And here's the other piece of this, okay? Here's the other piece of this and why I'm kind of skeptical about all of this stuff in general. Everything leaks nowadays. Everything. Even with the FTC hearings, especially, like, you got to remember, the FTC hearings were a moment where Xbox had to disclose, they were mandated to disclose to the court their plans with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard and the lawsuits that were being filed from Sony and elsewhere, and the FTC just in general. I don't think Sony specifically filed the lawsuits. They were just supporting the lawsuits filed by the FTC. But anyway, they had to disclose a lot of stuff. And that's where we initially heard about the Oblivion remaster, was that they had to disclose that. And they also disclosed a Fallout 3 remaster as well that is expected probably to come out next year. Now, what's kind of funny about that is that they're taking the show to New Vegas, but not Washington. And yet they seemingly will have a remaster of Fallout 3 in Washington, D.C. at the same time that the show is going to the place where New Vegas takes place. It didn't time out super well, but I think it's just mismanagement on their part, not getting those projects greenlit in the proper order. There's also been speculation that maybe Todd, just in general, has a weird hate boner for New Vegas. They talk about it strangely. He's in recent years kind of reframed it as like, well, people act like we're upset about it. We're not upset about New Vegas. We love that game, and people forget we published that game. So I think the words Todd used was, we made that game because Bethesda Softworks published it. I don't know where the truth lies. I get the feeling that it's like I've used the analogy before. It's like when the older brother has the much more successful younger brother. Like the older brother tried to get on the football team and was always on the bench, but the younger brother is always first string and is doing super, super well. He's like, yeah, I'm happy for my brother. But inside he's like seething and kind of jealous. I think that that's basically Bethesda and Oblivion, you know? That's kind of my expectation. But having said that, I think if they were doing a New Vegas right now, remaster, remake, whatever, it probably would have leaked. That's why I'm skeptical that it's actually in the works. People are like, oh, they're going to drop it as a surprise early next year. Nobody can name the studio working on it. That's the problem. Nobody knows. Like, we know every studio that Xbox owns. We know. But nobody can say which studio is working on an alleged New Vegas remaster remake, because I don't think it's currently being made. I think that's the problem. Anyway, continuing.
I think there's a possibility that Bethesda may not give us that at all and may opt to give us a brand new game set in that location. I'll break it all down, but this is a lot of speculation and fun conversation. I was originally...
Or, way more depressing, a Fallout 76 expansion set in New Vegas. I've had to bring this up many times, but Todd seems to view Fallout 76 as the actual like current Fallout thing. If you want to play Fallout 76. That's where you get it. Even though like fans of the narrative games, single player games, are not pleased with Fallout 76. It's not saying it's terrible or awful. It's just not what we want. You know, we don't play Fallout 76 because we're not interested in it. I think that the odds are higher that there's going to be a Fallout 76 New Vegas expansion like late next year than there is like a dedicated remaster remake. That seems much more on brand for modern day Bethesda game studios than anything else. I'm sorry to potentially jinx it. Dude, that jacket's fire. Dude, it feels like fire. I am overheating like a mofo. But continuing.
Thinking maybe I hold this topic for later in the year when we get closer to the show. I imagine the video would do better that way. But as I thought about it more, for those who do watch my content frequently, this is a good way to set expectations. So I feel like you know what to expect going into the Season 2 launch. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, of course, if you're into Fallout, you're in the right place. But anything gaming, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, go sub to Matty.
So to get to where I want to get with New Vegas and its remake conversation, I want to start all the way at the beginning, Season 1. It's around the top of 2024, and if I'm Bethesda, here's what I think is going through their head. We have zero expectations for this show. We don't think it's going to do that great at all. Why do I think that? Number one, across the entire Fallout franchise, they had zero content ready for the launch of Season 1. I'm talking merch was barely being pushed. Fallout 76 got a Vault 33 jumpsuit. Fallout 4's next-gen update came out weeks after the TV show had already aired and the hype had kind of come and
it was kind of broken because they rushed it. It's still busted, dude. People still can't play the mods and use mods. Ultra-wide support, still totally busted. Like, the next-gen update is awful.
done. And 3, they dropped the entire season at once. Amazon dropped the entire season at once. So when it banged, they were like, oh, okay. Well, now expectations seem to be in the right place if business moves are to tell us anything. 1, Fallout Daystream being a thing. That's pretty important to note that they've identified somehow all this time later, Fallout is big enough to warrant having its own stream with its own slew of announcements every single year. 2, Amazon is doing Amazon things like now releasing Fallout Weekly to sustain its subscriber counts.
I think I suspect and am suspicious that maybe Xbox was cautious after Starfield and they were like, okay, maybe we don't put a ton of money into marketing this thing because maybe BGS just ain't at what we thought they were. But then they were surprised by it. But either way, it seems like a colossal miscalculation to think that Fallout, the TV show, wasn't going to be big. Maybe it was more like doubting Amazon in general, because maybe they thought Amazon wasn't going to do a good job. But I don't know. It seems like such a blunder to screw that up.
3, Bethesda has said that Fallout 76 will actually have tie-in material with the show. More on that in a little bit. And 4, Xbox has reportedly greenlit both Fallout 5 and, according to Jordan Midler of Video Game Chronicle, the Fallout game that you have been asking for within a year of the show's launch.
Yeah, I don't know. That Jordan Middler interview, I was hoping for like any follow-ups from Skillup and Jake Baldino. But they didn't, which makes me wonder if they knew something or if he's memeing and joking. I don't know. I guess I could reach out. Maybe Jordan would come on the stream and we could talk about it. But it is just strange that he's claiming that there's a bunch of Fallout projects in the works, including the one that you're all wanting. But then he also was saying that Fallout 5, Todd's not going to be around to make it, which if it's coming in like the mid-2030s doesn't really make sense. But then I made the recent video where I pointed out that Todd's been walking back his statements around Fallout 5, suggesting maybe that they're doing another Starfield something between Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Who knows? But I don't know. I've not heard from other sources that this is actually in the works. So it seems to be just a Jordan Middler thing, and I'm not sure what his source is. So I take it with a grain of salt.
So keeping that in mind, they didn't expect much because they somehow didn't know Fallout's like this huge phenomenon, and that if it was even the slightest bit good, we'd be all over it. So now we're seeing over the last year and a half the reaction to it all, the stream, the 76 tie-ins, the leaked greenlit projects of the ones that we've been waiting for a while. But where does Fallout New Vegas find itself in all this? Well, again, let's continue to set these expectations, right? Bethesda's moving the right direction. We're giving you Fallout content. Why don't I think it's New Vegas? Well, first and foremost, if it's happening, it won't be for a while. Given how flat-footed Bethesda and co were caught with the TV show, this project would have been greenlit as early as maybe mid-2024. And I know it's hard to imagine as Fallout fans because we know how popular the brand is, but I guess at least they know now, right? But the timeline is impossible where they could get a remaster of New Vegas out in response to season 1 of the TV show for where season 2 was going, which was New Vegas. But furthermore, Bethesda kind of redefined the standards of remasters with Oblivion, which does throw a monkey wrench into it. It was the game we remembered, bugs and all, but with a new coat of paint on it. And if that is...
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, New Vegas is another animal entirely, because like Joe with his $5 super chat says, Fallout New Vegas needs an update before season 2 drops. It's a top 10 game of all time for me, but hardly boots on some PCs. A remake without fixing the OG would be criminal. Well, that's the thing, is it barely runs even today. Like, in order to boot it, a lot of people have to go download specific mods or customize the INI files and do all sorts of stuff just to get it functioning, period. And the Oblivion remaster was interesting because it was, as far as I understand it, just the creation engine with an Unreal Engine wrapper around it. So it had better graphics, but was still the same game with the same bugs and the same clunk and everything. And that's cool with some of those older games like that. But with New Vegas, preserving the clunk means the game doesn't boot half the time, which obviously they don't want to do. So I'm sure it is a tricky thing to figure out. Papa Diaz, also thank you for the membership as well. And Banana Blitz says with a $5 super chat, nah, they should make a Starfield TV show next. Agree to disagree.
This is the standard versus what we were originally asking for, which for those who don't know that, who haven't been around the Mr. Matty content for a while, you can like find videos of me talking about Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters and like 2013, 14, 15. Like, we went into it so many times. We were ready to just take like an up-resed port or even just a very basic bare minimum port of like the same exact game. But Bethesda has now shifted those expectations, and because they have shifted them, it means that these types of remasters will take longer, and especially when Bethesda sees how much money they are making off the Oblivion remaster. It's still one of the top selling games of the year. All the more reason to do exactly what you did last time, but try to one-up yourself. Try to do it even better. So yeah, if you have that window of time where, okay, we could greenlight this as early as mid-2024, it's just not enough time to get this remaster out the door for the show, which I know not everyone was asking like, oh, it has to drop around the show, but maybe they announce it in anticipation for season 2. I don't even think they go that far because, again, as I'm going to get into now, the timeline just doesn't work. I think it's way far out, if anything at all. let's look at Fallout 3 for a brief moment. You see, Fallout 3 is planned, and I think this comes first not only because that was the one that was originally planned, but because it can set the standard for what to expect with New Vegas. Fallout 3 and New Vegas, famously because they share the same engine and Bethesda gave them the asset library to have Obsidian basically make New Vegas with those pieces and then some of their own in a little bit under 2 years. So I could see this very similar thing happening with the New Vegas remaster, especially when the game itself didn't add a ton of new major mechanics. Like, for example, one of the biggest additions to Fallout New Vegas compared to Fallout 3 was aiming down your sights. But I imagine when the Fallout 3 remaster comes around, this will be a built-in feature because they'll be modeling it.
Dude, that ADS gives me a migraine. I can't even look at it. Oh my God.
After Fallout 4, just like Oblivion Remaster, model itself after Skyrim. So then you look over at the FTC document. Based on this, everything we've seen that's come true from this document, and that's essentially all of it, everything here was delayed by 2 to 2.5 years. That means Fallout 3's remaster is likely a late 2026 or mid 2027 release date. Meanwhile, Nate the Hate, who accurately leaked Oblivion, said it'd actually be a while before we get to see it. And given that the Oblivion remaster got pushed into 2025 and Virtuos is likely handling this Fallout 3 remaster too, I'd throw late 2027 out there. So now bringing it all back to Fallout New Vegas, if this
Makes me wonder if they delayed it to try and coincide with like a season 3 of the show. If they're going to go to Washington, D.C. in season 3, and that's when we get the Fallout 3 remaster. Maybe that could time out better. They need to time out better than trying to shove it next to the New Vegas release.
this ends up being an added on part of the plan. It's like, oh, we should do this next, which I think they should. It's like Fallout 3 is coming first because it's further down the pipeline, and that means you still need years to make it. So if, let's say, Fallout 3's remaster drops in 2027, 2029 is still a pretty, like, optimistic release window, if I'm honest about it.
Dude.
But this is where we get into deep cut speculation now, because that's if Fallout New Vegas Remaster is ever going to be part of the plans. You have to look at it from this angle too. When Jordan Midler spit out the rumor on the FPS podcast that another Fallout game is on the way and it's the Fallout game that you've all been asking for, no one really knows what that is. He could be thinking...
That's what I'm saying. Like, they should have asked, what do you mean by... Are you saying New Vegas too? A follow-up. I don't know. It drove me crazy, dude. I love Jake. I love Skill Up. They're great dudes. But it's like, what are we doing? Ask him. Clarify. Yeah, maybe he's talking about Fallout 2 remaster. Who knows? Who knows, dude? It's just crazy. Is a Fallout 3 remake remaster confirmed to be Virtuos? I think the latest thing was that it's expected to be in-house at BGS. Make of that what you will. But I believe that that's the case. I don't think it's confirmed to be Virtuos, but I'm not 1,000% sure.
Oh, it's Fallout 5. Like, that's the one everyone wants. That's the one everyone's asking for, because the last Fallout game we got was 76, which is now in a great place, but it wasn't for a very long time, and it wasn't the Fallout game that people were really wanting at that time. So he could mean 5. But for a lot of Fallout fans, they've interpreted that as a Fallout New Vegas too. And I get why. Still, the reality is, at the heart of it all, we have no clue at all. It's a safe assumption, yes, but it's not a definite, as is the world of rumors. So to me, when I see that, it's possible you take the New Vegas remaster completely out of the equation, and Bethesda and Xbox have opted to say, well, why don't we just make a new game set in New Vegas?
That's one of my favorite quest lines ever. Setting them off in the rocket ships. I just love it. It's so good.
Or make a game set around the west coast of Fallout. Like, I feel that is the obvious move for Fallout 5, which I've already gone in depth on why I think it's going to be in San Francisco, and Bethesda's teased that pretty heavily. And also literally made sure Obsidian did not take San Francisco off the map in New Vegas because they wanted to use it as a future location. And when you look at that combined with the TV show focusing a lot on the West Coast, I do think that's the next mainline game. But
well, and the reason I suspect it's going to be in San Fran is all of that stuff he just mentioned. But also, Todd said in that interview for the season 1 launch of Fallout, the TV show, he said that when he was working with the team at Amazon Prime on the original concept and writing for the show, he had to tell them specific things not to do because they planned on doing them in Fallout 5. So I fully suspect, okay, they start the show on the West Coast. I fully suspect that they're like, oh, so we're going to transition. Maybe you travel down to San Fran or whatever. And Todd's like, don't do that. We want to do that in Fallout 5. I think that that's most likely what he was talking about when he said he had to tell them not to go places, not to do things because he's going to do it somewhere else. I think.
But I do want to just float the idea out there that just because it's obvious to us doesn't mean it's obvious to them. For example, I think a New Vegas remaster is free money, and no matter when you deliver it, you should deliver it because that would be great for fans. However, after interviewing Mark Dara and learning how EA turned down not only a Dragon Age Origins remake idea, but remasters and the Champions trilogy, I don't think these execs sometimes have a clue at all what a good money opportunity is, even if it literally slapped them in the face like that. So while, again, it's obvious to us, like, oh, it's obvious Fallout's big, they're just greenlighting Fallout 5 now, and this is years after Xbox has owned Bethesda. It's a little insane how slow-moving things have been for this franchise. Yes, the TV show has dramatically accelerated all, but it's all reactionary, which is a worrying case unto itself. I'm glad they're making moves, though.
Have they done a theme park? A Fallout theme park? No, but Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights 2025 to feature the first ever Fallout haunted house. So at a theme park, they will be doing a Fallout haunted house. So sort of. I do plan on going and doing this, and we'll film a video about it. So don't you worry. We'll talk about it.
So yeah, I don't really think a New Vegas remaster is a guarantee, not even because it's not in the rumor mill, but just because like what rumors we do have surrounding New Vegas or New Vegas 2 have popped up multiple times more than anything involving a New Vegas remaster. And there's also the world where the Fallout 3 remaster synchronizes well with like a season 3 or 4 of the Fallout TV show that maybe makes its way to the East Coast, but that's like far-flung speculation. We'll see if we even get there yet. So what are we expecting for the TV show? Well, for starters, I know it makes sense in our brains that New Vegas show equals New Vegas game, and that should just be what happens. But remember that Fallout 76 was the biggest beneficiary of this show, as I've covered before. It's not Fallout 4, not Fallout 3, not the originals, but 76. And if you want to cut deeper than that to get to the lore aspect of it all, 76 is the polar opposite end of the timeline. Like, it has nothing that really reminds you of the TV show outside of it being the current updated Fallout product. So I can see a world where 76 focuses even harder on the TV show. Keep in mind, two things have been said. One, Bethesda has teased that whatever's coming out next for 76 is the biggest update the game has ever received. That means it's bigger than Wastelanders, and that is absolutely significant. Number two, they have already promised that they are going to have tie-in content with Season 2. What that will be is anybody's guess because we don't know how closely these teams are collaborating, but given how much money and attention 76 got, I could see a world where there was a deeper relationship there. And money talks, right? Like, if there is a time to swing hard with 76, especially with its surprise resurgence, I do think Season 2 is a great opportunity to do so. And if you look at the community calendar that just released today, you can see that at the end of December, the day after the new season of the show drops, Bethesda is doing Double Score and Gold Rush. So yeah, I think they are preparing for the influx of players. Like I said, though, in prior videos, yeah, I think 76 is going to swing extremely hard for Season 2. Otherwise, we have the leak from Juicehead, who says that Fallout 4 is going to be getting creations of some kind. Beyond that, though, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much more.
They'll get it working so you can play it after the next gen update. Well, and again, this is the thing that we just have to remember. It's frustrating for us, but we are largely in a bubble. Dare I say a large canvas bubble, okay? This is us. We're in here. There's a lot of other stuff in this room, though. There's a lot of other players out there. And in terms of numbers, in terms of raw numbers, there's a lot more people interested in like Fallout 76 updates than would be interested in a remaster of a game that was beloved from 15 years ago. Maybe it pops off to the level of the Oblivion remake, remaster, but I think that that's the question mark for Xbox executives. Is they're like, yeah, Elder Scrolls is massive, but is a spin-off game from 2010 going to do the same numbers as Oblivion, which was like one of the most successful, biggest games of all time at that point in the games industry? I personally think it does. I mean, I think New Vegas is huge, and I think there's a huge fandom for it, and I think people will come out for it. But I think that executives are questioning it because they're looking at it in that way. They're going, is it as big as Oblivion? Should we spend all this time and money? And they're just not sure about it. What the hell are you wearing, bro? Dude, a jacket for Starfield, and I'm too hot. I'm trying to make it all the way through the video, though. You can't mod Fallout 76. You're damn right. The only mods and customization stuff you can get in that you have to be paying for, which they like a lot more. You better believe it. The big update that's expected to come to Fallout 4 is them adding creations, which is their name for paid mods. That's the big update for Fallout 4 that's coming for Season 2. So just buckle up, dude. Buckle up.
Otherwise, anything else to me beyond Fallout 4 creations and a massive 76 update would be a welcome surprise. Like, for me, a welcome surprise would be, hey, we're actually going to port Fallout 1 and 2 and Tactics to consoles. I look at what happened with Icewind Dale and Planescape and the old Baldur's Gate games and how they brought these CRPGs to consoles. Like, I just want that level of porting for Fallout 1 and 2. I think that would be great. Would they sell like hotcakes? I don't know if necessarily that would be the case, but I think you get a lot of curiosity purchases. Like, hey, let me try this. Could they use some quality of life updates? Sure, but I think they could release just fine as is because the Fallout brand is a titan, and there are many people who said, I've skipped on this. Let me just give it a shot. Especially when Bethesda has shown a willingness to bring back really random FPS games like Heretic and Hexen are back. They remastered Doom on like a yearly basis. They remastered Quake. Like, why not do this for Fallout? I know Todd shut it down when I asked him about it, but also it looks like plans have dramatically changed since the TV show has kicked up and Xbox has shut down a lot of studios and started to reorganize their assets. So to me, that would be a pleasant surprise. But if you're just watching this video to try to find out, like, what should I expect? Keep your expectations there. You get Season 2, you get a big swing with 76, maybe you get some surprise creations for Fallout 4 that end up being really exciting. Otherwise, anything else to me is a bonus. That's where my head is at. We'll see what...
I agree. Of course, go sub to Matty. He's been doing coverage like this for a very, very long time. Great dude. And honestly, I think he's right. You should keep your expectations very low because the odds of something happening are just not that high. And, you know, they say making an assumption makes an ass out of you and me. And I think that is true. You should not assume that just because we think New Vegas would be a slam dunk that the data or that the executives are seeing the same thing. I think it's pretty clear that they're seeing something that makes them think this is not as big of a slam dunk. Whether it's just because it's more expensive, maybe there's rights disputes, maybe there's other stuff. You never know. There could be all sorts of random crap preventing them from just doing what seems so obvious to us. Same with like Bloodborne 2, Bloodborne Remake, Remaster, whatever. It's like, it makes so much sense. Why haven't they done it yet? Well, maybe it's like I said earlier in the stream. Often with business, if something just doesn't make any sense at all, it's because you're missing a piece of the puzzle. You're missing a piece of information that explains everything and makes it make sense. And with this, I suspect there's probably some extra piece of the puzzle that we are not privy to. I still think we'll see something New Vegas related, but I think it's probably going to be much more in line with what Bethesda's been doing recently, which is like a Fallout 76 update that brings New Vegas as a map to Fallout 76. I think that that's probably what we expect. Copyrighted music would be hard too. Yeah, well, they could get a new soundtrack and stuff, but we just don't know. We just don't know. That's the tricky bit. Good video from Matty, and it sucks that after all of this discussion and discourse, we're just kind of like, That's just kind of where we are. That's just where we are. That's how this works, man. That's how this works. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. They're gonna add fishing to New Vegas. Oh God. He took my thing.